Nobody is untouchable. Nobody, your job is never safe ever since that Luka trade. I know that's off topic, but I think nobody's job is ever safe now. And I think Lane Kiffin could come and, he worked with Ed Orgean at Tennessee. And Alabama was too, I think. They've had some work, so maybe you could bring Ed Orgean back onto the team as an assistant or something, and have Lane Kiffin run the show up in LSU. I'd like to see it. It just depends on what he chooses to do, if he leaves Ole Miss or not.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I've got Alex with me. I'm Holden, and it's episode 8 of Inside the Huddle podcast, live and in person. If you didn't find it out already, me and Alex usually do our podcast over a video because we're in separate places. But today he has driven in, and we are ready to get started. So, just starting off with some of the topics. College football's not really failing us right now as far as info goes. It's always just kind of banging in rapid fire, just giving us, what we need. It's very easy just to get caught up in all of it because, it's the hype of college football and it's everywhere. So, keeping on, I think, probably for me, one of the most expected firings of the year, Brian Kelly for LSU.
Right.
Yeah, so I don't know what that's going to mean for LSU. He was a decent coach, but, if you're going to go into the SEC, that's not what you want, if you know what I mean. You don't want, it's the same thing as James Franklin. If you can't deliver on that level, good riddance.
Right. And, so, starting on that topic about Brian Kelly and everything, you just got to see where they stand this year. And, as the LSU team, that they have a it's a high-name school, right? They are expected to perform every year, as they did in the past, with that 2019 LSU team with Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and everything, with Ed Orgean. And, Brian Kelly came in after that, and after Ed was fired for his sloppy performance after that natty, Brian Kelly had come in and, he started off decent. We saw a few bright seasons from him, and, it wasn't what LSU needed, though, right? LSU, they just didn't really get that high drive that they had back in 2018-19 and so forth. And they're 5-3 on the year right now, right? They're 2-3 in the SEC, and they just fired him after that performance, or as of that standing. They got blown out at home. Yeah, if you're LSU, it can't happen, Oak. You're a high-name school, like I was saying. You have to be performing every year, and it is harder now, especially with NIL. People are bringing in more players. The SEC is never going to stop being dominant, and if your coach can't compete and recruit players, keep up with it, then you won't have a job in the SEC because it's one of the toughest jobs that you're going to have as a college coach playing in the SEC.
Yeah, for sure. And originally, my first thought when they fired Kelly, I'm like, what about Franklin? And then it hit me, that they fired Kelly for the same reason that Franklin got fired.
Yeah.
So, it just can't happen. And so, it's not an option. But, teams like Penn State and LSU, we'll get into this, later on in the episode. That'll be one of our topics. But they really have nowhere to run to, if you know what I mean. They're demanding perfection out of their coaches. And not necessarily saying that's a bad thing, but you got to find another Nick Saban if you want that. Or, you need a big-time coach who's just not going to make mistakes. And,
yeah.
In this day and age of college football, every coach makes mistakes. That's just, part of the game.
Yeah, 100%. And, with Kelly, he ran more of CEO style, right? He had his hands off most of the time, and he'd let other people do some of the work that he should have been doing, and he kind of just let it off for other people to do, and that doesn't work in the SEC. If you're a head coach playing against Alabama, Texas, Oklahoma, all these big SEC school names, you have to be hands-on with your team. You got to be there every day. You got to go out, and these guys got to look up to you because you are the biggest position for your team. If you're the head coach, you are the one that makes decisions. You are the one that has to bring the team together. And Brian Kelly, obviously, I'm guessing you know about some of the side stuff about some of the players, Kyron Lacey. I don't know his name, but that one player that had a brain injury or whatever. Brian Kelly, these families come out and they say that he has done nothing to support them. When that kid at Notre Dame fell off the forklift or while he was filming, Brian Kelly didn't do anything. He didn't support the family. He didn't care. Same thing with the player with the brain injury, and I hate that I forget his name, and I apologize about that. He had a brain injury, and his football career was cut short. Brian Kelly did nothing. Kyron Lacey, who just passed away recently after he was proven he was thought to be guilty in a crime he did not commit, and he had taken his own life, and Brian Kelly did not contact his family once. The assistant coach did. And if you're a head coach of a football team, it is your job to make sure that these kids are taken care of. It's your job, Oak, and if you're not doing that, then you're not a good coach.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, you're not teaching, you're not teaching grown men, you're not teaching football players, you're teaching kids. You are teaching young men. You have to raise them up, and those are the best coaches, the ones that, will put their arm around you and take you under their wing.
100%.
And just support you no matter what, football or not. It's a game of life. That's really what football is all about. It teaches you about life. That's the whole reason it was invented, and these are the reasons people play it nowadays. It teaches you the lessons that you need, and Brian Kelly did not have those values put inside of him. And I don't think I speak just for myself when I say this. I am very happy to see Brian Kelly go. I'm not sad at all,
Yeah.
Obviously, they've got, a lot of work to do now. They're back to the drawing board. But they're one step closer to being where they need to be.
Yeah, I agree with you. And, I think one big name that we could see as a candidate for the job, Lane Kiffin. I know you kind of said you could see him being in the Florida spot after Billy Napier was let go. And, I could see that too. I think it was shut down, though. I think it was said Lane Kiffin does not look like he would be going to Florida. But, you never know. Things happen. Obviously, sports, anything can happen. I think ever since that Luka trade, like a little bit back, I think anything in sports is possible. Nobody is untouchable. Nobody, your job is never safe ever since that Luka trade. I know that's off topic, but I think nobody's job is ever safe now. And I think Lane Kiffin could come and, he worked with Ed Orgean at Tennessee. And Alabama was too, I think. They've had some work, so, maybe you could bring Ed Orgean back onto the team as an assistant or something and have Lane Kiffin run the show up in LSU. I'd like to see it, It just depends on what he chooses to do, if he leaves Ole Miss or not.
I like that. I like that a lot. And, you were talking about the hot seat a little bit, and, no one's untouchable. And I think this is a great part to move into our second segment, Josh Heupel's heat check. And, what he does with Tennessee, he came in, great coach, gave us success. Jeremy Pruitt got into some stuff with the McDonald's bag and everything. I've seen way too many memes off that. But, yeah, they brought in Heupel, right? Was a QB at Oklahoma, candidate for Heisman, and I saw somewhere he says he's always been an Oklahoma guy. So, some bad blood definitely coming into this game.
Yeah.
I'd expect to see some stuff today. Like, obviously, they're playing, his team.
Yeah.
And if he loses today, I think that's it for him. And most Vol fans would get angry at me for saying this, but it's just like Franklin and it's just like Kelly. They're not delivering.
Yeah, 100.
And, with the Alabama game, he set Joey Aguilar up. We didn't do a segment on this. I really, really badly wanted to do something on this. I didn't get the chance. You can talk to this guy about it if you want to.
It's true. Yeah, we should have gotten a segment on the Alabama-Tennessee game, and we have missed, I think, it might have been, the past 2 weeks. That's on me. But I 100% agree with you, Oak. I think today's going to be a big game for Tennessee, and it could decide playoff hopes. It could decide SEC spots and everything. And it goes back to what I was saying about Brian Kelly for Josh Heupel. It's the SEC, man. Obviously, you can compete against some of these teams. You can have a good record, but if you play in the SEC, Oak, you got to win these big games. You're going to be playing tough teams. Obviously, Tennessee did not get it done against Alabama, but Alabama's been on a roll this year. They're sitting at 8-1, 7-1. What's his name? QB kid.
Ty Simpson.
Ty Simpson is looking like a
I'm amazed you don't. I'm amazed you don't know that because we got 3 Heisman candidates for you right here. We'll get into that in another episode. Oak Holden, have got 3 candidates for you. It's gonna be Ty Simpson. It's gonna be Julian Sayin. Or there's obviously the off chance that you go with someone like an Oregon player. I think at this point, it's just Ty Simpson and Julian Sayin.
I think Ty Simpson definitely has the lead for it. I mean, Alabama has been looking unstoppable except for their first game against Florida State where they just...
Well, they get all the kinks out. Like, obviously, rough game. Like, it's one of those tune-up games. And, Florida State's definitely, they're not great right now, but, not the best team to do a tune-up game against. Like, if you watch Tennessee a few years ago, we go play, like, Boston College or Bowling Green or Appalachian State or some no-name D2 school.
100%, yeah. This Tennessee team now is not what it was even 3-4 years back. I think Josh Heupel did really do a good job in changing it, but that's where you also have to look, right? I mean, their QB development's working. I mean, Joey Aguilar, they had Nico. Obviously, that didn't work out and everything. And he's having fun at UCLA. Good for him. I don't hate Joey Aguilar. I think he's a decent fit for this Tennessee team.
I don't think anyone hates Joey Aguilar. He stepped in, he maybe had, 2 weeks tops to learn the playbook. He came in, did an outstanding job. We could have won the Alabama game.
100%.
And then Heupel sets him up in a 3-back formation with 9 seconds left to go. And what does he do? He set Joey Aguilar up. They brought the blitz. Aguilar did what any QB would do. I'm not saying this isn't on Aguilar. I could have made that throw.
Yeah.
If he just had some time to see the play, he could have known. If you just put half an inch of air under it, that's a different.
You talking about that pick six?
That's a different game. Of course, I'm talking about the pick six. Yeah. Every Vol fan on earth talks about that pick six.
Yeah. But that's the thing, I mean, like I was saying, they're doing good in recruiting. They can develop QBs. Obviously, we can see. Their performance, they play well in games that they need to play well in, right? It's just the fact that they're in the SEC. When they go on the road, they have to make sure that they can win those road games, and they have to make sure that they can beat these big SEC names like Alabama, obviously Texas hasn't been hot this year so far, but like Texas.
Texas is starting to get it together, though.
They are, though. They are getting it together.
Arch Manning's starting to find out, he's just a sophomore. Let him be. He's working on everything, and I said this in previous episodes, if he didn't have that last name, he'd be a decent QB, through most people's eyes. But since he is Cooper Manning, who's originally supposed to be the best of the Manning brothers, since he's his son, tragic accident that happened to Cooper, but, he just has so much expected out of him. There's nothing you can do in life to prepare yourself for what Arch Manning has to go through. And just what he has to deal with, coming up from... I know this is a stretch, but Manning is probably the greatest last name in the history of football. Up there with Lombardi, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Manning it's a high respected name. I mean, Eli, Peyton, and now they got the kid Archie, man. And I mean...
Arch Manning as well.
Yeah, Arch Manning. Yep.
Yeah, played for the Saints, yep.
Yeah, and I mean, this kid... He had a lot of expectations coming in. Obviously, we got to see him a little bit last year, a few little flashes of him. I don't think, obviously, because of his name, he's going to have a higher expectation. But again, a sophomore, he's young, he's got a lot to learn.
You got to let the kid play football.
I'm not putting all the blame on Texas's struggles this year on Archie, man.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. The QB position is so dependent on other people's success that, it's like any other sport. There's always that one position. You lead the charge, you control the game. It's like a pitcher in baseball. Yeah. But you're so dependent on other people's success.
Right. Shout out Dodgers, one win away from winning the World Series. We're not really a big baseball talk on this podcast, but World Series is going on right now. Blue Jays lost a game last night in Game 6 where they had the chance.
Go Blue Jays. Let's go. Vladdy Daddy's going to carry them. We're one win away, guys.
Game
Come
7
on.
coming
Let's
up.
go. Game 7. We are 1 win away. It's tied 3-3. Come on. Let's go. I need Vladdy Daddy in there. I need whoever we got on the mound. Let's just go and get the win. We can beat these Dodgers. Shohei Ohtani is carrying that team. That's exactly why they're tied with us. So let's go do it. For all my Blue Jays out there, for all my birds from Toronto, let's do it. Come on.
100%. Speaking of winning, though, Oak, let's talk about someone else who's been on a streak, a hot stretch.
Julian Sayin has gone insane.
Oh, you already know I'm talking about
team,
him.
bro.
The reigning national champions, Ohio State Buckeyes. This team looks hot. This team has been hot since week 1 when they dominated Texas. I was just at the Wisconsin-Ohio State game. Obviously, it was heartbreaking for me, man. It was heartbreaking. He told me it would happen. I was like, no, Oak, have faith in this team. Hunter Simmons can lead this Badgers team.
What'd you get mossed for, like 5 touchdowns? You got mossed.
4 touchdowns,
On the
yes.
head top.
Yes. Yes, Carnell Tate got some amazing catches. And that's what I want to talk about. Julian Sayin, the top Heisman candidate right now, I would say, can place the ball perfectly. Getting to watch the game in person made it even more better. You could just see from this kid, he knows where to place the ball, and he placed the ball wherever the wide receivers were able to just make the catch. It put him right in his hands. And you need that from a QB, and I love to see that from QBs because you just know that they have what it takes to make it in the game.
He's a veteran for sure. He's an experienced quarterback. He knows what he's doing. You know, he's been with that team forever, just sitting on the sidelines, watching and taking notes. I saw his quote once, note takers are history makers, and that's what he's been doing. Like, that's his motto right now. So now he was more than prepared to go out there and, do what he knows how to do. And, such a talented QB. And if he gets Heisman, he's earned every play, every rep, every practice, every game, every year he has earned.
100%. And, I mean, if they just keep playing hot like they have been, I think they're definitely, I'd say they could be favorites again to go back-to-back. I don't really see any team as of now except maybe, Alabama. I'd love to see a Ohio State-Alabama matchup in, like, the playoffs or something.
I think that'd be great, but I don't know, man. Ohio State, they're the president of the Cool Kids Club right now. So, you said no one's untouchable. I think if there had to be one untouchable team, it'd be Ohio State.
Yeah.
No one can, obviously, they don't have the hardest schedule, but no one can lay a finger on them. So I think Alabama, at this point, you are the only team who can do something about Julian Sayin. And I want to see it. I do. I think they need to start putting that into the schedule.
Yeah, 100%. And, a year ago, 2 years ago, people hated Ryan Day. And Ohio State fans, even ones I know, they were tired of him. And they were like, Ryan Day is not the answer. We lost to Michigan. We're not, this isn't going to be a strong team. And then they came out and dominated every single team they played in the playoffs. They dominated Tennessee. They dominated Texas. Or no, Texas was a close game, but they played harder than them. And then they took care of Notre Dame in the Natty.
They won the Texas game more on the field than the scoreboard for sure.
100%. They played harder and they wanted it more. And I think Steve Sarkisian just wasn't able to regroup his team enough to make sure that they could take that.
Sarkisian's a great coach, but I hate those Ohio State fans that say Ryan Day wasn't the answer when you lost to Jim frickin' Harbaugh. He's coaching the Chargers right now. He stinks, but he's still coaching the Chargers. So, did incredible. Obviously, there's all that, buzz surrounding, the cheating and the sign deciphering. I've seen a documentary on it. You can go watch it. I think it's on Netflix if you want to, but...
Yeah, the Connor Stallion story. Yep.
The Connor Stallion story. And, you can't blame something for every team does. Every team does that in their own way. 100%.
I think every team has you're not going to be like
Michigan's was just a little more obvious than others. Yeah. So they got,
it's the same thing about anything.
They got
you could say that about Rick Pitino getting fired why did I forget the name? My bad. Louisville. He got fired there for, recruiting issues, scandals, and all that. Every team does it.
Like Terry Rozier. I'm not going to say exactly like Terry Rozier. We'll talk about that later. Mark my words. We're going to talk about Terry Rozier and the head coach later.
The NBA, the NBA
has been caught on one of its biggest scandals ever, up there with the 1909 scandal with the Chicago Black Sox.
Bro's going way back. Yeah, man. I mean, it's crazy to see, obviously, and I think that'd be a great thing to talk about in our next episode is just what's going on with the NBA as of now. Because we haven't really – NBA season started it started since we've done our last episode. We haven't got an episode out since the NBA season. So next episode, we're definitely going to get a lot of NBA stuff towards you guys. Before we wrap up, one more thing is that's big name is coaching carousel. Obviously, James Franklin booted out of Penn State. Brian Kelly booted out of LSU, and they canned Billy Napier. You called it earlier in the season, Oak. I remember you said
every fan on earth called it. No one's surprised. If you are surprised by Billy Napier's firing, you need to go watch some college football. Because, no, they got the Lagway doing this thing, tossing lateral. You don't go east to west. You go north and south. Fire that offensive coordinator. This is not an east to west game anymore. Like, that was 2015 when, everyone was going, just side to side. You go north or you go south. That's football. And not for Billy Napier. So, stuck in the past. We got to change that. We need to get a coach in there. Good, hard-nosed, running, let the bone roll, just up the gut, who can attack a team from anywhere. A strong running game makes a team. We've seen that, in the NFL. We've seen that in college. So, once they get a strong running game in there, I think, Florida will be all right. They've got Jaden Ball. Not great. He's decent.
Yeah.
But, Billy Napier, I am a little scared to watch him go because he was such a great recruiter. Mm-hmm. He had some of the best recruits, in the nation. He had, it seems like he had 5 stars coming in at every angle.
Yep.
So, if you want to keep that, if you're Florida, you have to keep that.
100%.
So, if you get somebody new in there, you want, a recruiting guru. You want someone who, like Tennessee. We just hired one of the best recruiters, in the nation. Everybody always said they loved Elander more than Tony. Tony goes up to the Giants. Great for him. Obviously, there were some issues with the AD, some disagreements. So, Tony left, and we're bringing Elander. And I saw a survey or something that, like, all the players, they loved Elander more than they did Vitello. So, I'm hoping he has just as good of a baseball aspect as Tony, but the recruiting should be better for sure.
100%. That's the thing with these big-name coaches is that you're going to see, transfers, new pickups, signings, and everything. These big-name schools that had fired their coaches, they're going to get some new players coming in if they sign another. Imagine Florida takes on Brian Kelly or something. Obviously, I don't see that happening, but if Florida can get Brian Kelly knows how to recruit. Obviously, people don't like him and everything, but he knows how to recruit. He knows how to get players. And if some of those LSU players on that team are fans of Kelly, then, you could see them transferring from LSU to Florida. And that's big-name players from one big school that transfer to another big school that's already pretty dominant, and it just helps your situation out so much more. Like if Penn State gets a big name, if James Franklin, Virginia Tech, I heard might be an option for him. Imagine getting some nitty-natty players on the Virginia Tech squad, build them up. In the next 2 years, they could be playoff contenders again.
No. All right. Well, that's been our episode. Thank you so much for tuning in to episode 8. I'm Holden. I've got Alex Maas with me, and this is Deuces from Inside the Huddle podcast.
Thanks for watching.